Namo Buddhaya. Homage to the Supreme Buddha. Everyone, today also we are here to talk about our Supremely Enlightened Buddha. Based on the Acharya Manusso, the book our Pinot Loku Swamin Wahanse, our Venerable Teacher Bhante wrote recently. And then you have the English translation that too, Sinhala and English both. To start our program, we will go for refuge to the Triple Gem Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And then we will observe the 5 principles. You can say with me. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Homage to our most venerable Pinot Loku Swamin Wahanse, our teacher Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. Being so grateful to our teacher Bhante, Pinot Loku Swamin Wahanse. We are here to talk about, to learn, and to make our minds faithful in the Supreme Buddha. If you remember, we talked many things about our Mahabodhisattva, the Buddha to be, when he was coming on this journey to become the Supreme Buddha. In Jataka stories and in many holy books, we have many things to learn about our Mahabodhisattva. We talk about them and the merits he collected, and then the wholesome activities he developed to become the Supreme Buddha. Reflections and everything. And in this Mahabhadra Kalpa, in this era, Supreme Buddha was born, and then he became enlightened, seated under the sacred Bodhi tree near the river Neranjara on the full moon, Vesak full moon Poya day, if you remember. And we talked many things about the Supreme Buddha, his realization, about his wisdom, and about his understanding, about his dedication and everything, about the battle he had with the evil one, the Mara. He won and he became the supremely enlightened Buddha named Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama. We were talking about his understanding, the Supreme Buddha's wisdom. In maybe 2-3 episodes we talked about them, and then I guess that the episode we have today is a little deeper, but do not worry about that. You do not understand completely about what is talked, but you should have an idea about the wisdom, about the knowledge of our supremely enlightened Buddha, Buddharajanan Wahanse. Okay, and then we will talk about the wisdom about our life, our journey. Our Supreme Buddha understood about this life, about this world, the nature of this world, the nature of this life. And then, according to his wisdom, he saw with us, he saw us as the beings who are suffering in this endless journey of samsara, the repeated cycle of birth and death. The beings, may be humans, maybe animals, maybe non-humans, maybe heavenly beings, maybe Brahma beings, hell beings. Everybody has a journey, endless journey called samsara, repeated cycle of birth and death. And then, with the wisdom of the Supreme Buddha, he saw that the world beings are suffering. That suffering is endless. According to the karma, they are born here and there, and then they live, they consume their karma, then they die, and they are supposed to be born somewhere else. It happens because of their karma, good or bad. And then, according to the Supreme Buddha's wisdom, he understood that this suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, old age is suffering, birth is suffering, death is suffering, separation from loved ones is suffering, not gaining what we wished is suffering. Like that, he understood the suffering. And he understood the perfect method of this arising of suffering, and then he understood the cessation, maybe letting go of this suffering, to be free from this suffering. This is called, everyone, Paticca Samuppada. Paticca Samuppada is a Pali word. Do not worry about this word. It is deep actually, but we can understand in a way. It is a deep topic. I will explain it in a way that everybody can understand easily. It's okay. We talked about the arising of suffering according to the Paticcasamuppada. Not last week, a week last. But today we will talk about the cessation of this suffering, maybe the complete destruction of the suffering. Okay, we will quickly go to the topic like this. If you remember, in the dependent origination is the give me a second. Homage to the Supreme Buddha. In the dependent origination, if you remember, we learned these words, everybody. Pay your very close attention to this. Jara Marana, Pali words. This is our extraordinary Dhamma from the Supreme Buddha we learn. Jara Marana, aging and death. Soka in Pali, sorrow. Parideva, lamentation. Dukkha, pain. Domanassa, displeasure. Upayasa, despair. The Supreme Buddha understood this is suffering, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, despair, and displeasure. The reason for this suffering, he understood this way. A little bit more in detail I will explain on the dependent origination. Avijja, ignorance, just the word you learn, okay? Sankhara, volitional formations. Vijnana, consciousness. Nama, rupa, name and form. Again, don't worry if you do not understand this, okay? We will explain this a little bit. Salayatana, 6 sense bases. You can understand this easily. 6 sense bases are the eye, the nose, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, the body, and the mind. Passa, which means contact. I, the object, and the consciousness come together and then they meet together. That's called contact. Vedana, feeling. Because of this contact, we feel feelings. pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. Tanha, craving, because of the feeling, good feeling maybe, we attach to that, we have that craving, we have that desire, the wisdom of the Supreme Buddha. Next point, upadana, clinging, because of this craving, okay, because of that craving, we cling, we attach, okay, we have that strong desire that we need it. And then bhava means existence, the environment that we can be born. And then the last one is jati, which means birth. And then if you remember, if I explain it again, this is suffering. Everybody? And then for this suffering, the reason is this jati, birth. Because of this jati, because of the birth, we will have to suffer. We get old, we die, we have lots of pain, mental, physical. Reason is the birth, jati. The reason for this birth, why we are born, the existence is the reason. The environment, karma. Oh, because of the karma, we create this environment. Maybe the human world, maybe the animal world, maybe the heavenly world, the Brahma world, or hell world, or wherever the environment. And then, because of this the reason for this existence is clinging. We want, we have that desire. We cannot let that go, the desire. Clinging. Because of this clinging, we have this space to be born. The reason for this clinging is the craving. We like things we see, things we hear, things we smell, things we eat, things we touch, things we thought, think. Craving, desire, liking. Why do we like things? Because of the feeling. Feeling may be good feeling, maybe bad feeling, maybe neutral feeling. We feel that when we see, when we hear, when we eat, we feel. Because of this feeling, we have this desire, okay? Why do we feel? How? Here is a reason you come here, because of the contact. We meet things with our eyes. We meet things with our ear, with our nose, with our tongue, with our body, with our mind. Why? How does this happen? Contact. Because we have the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. These six sense bases are created according to the nama and rupa, or name and form. The reason for this name and form is consciousness. The reason for the consciousness is volitional formations. The reason for the volitional formation is ignorance, which means not knowing about noble truths. We know nothing about Four Noble Truths, the world beings. That's why they are reborn again and again, okay? Is that clear? I want you, everyone, to understand this. And then we will go to the cessation of dependent origination. How does this come to an end? Okay, I will explain this a little bit, okay? With the remainless fading away and cessation of ignorance comes cessation of volitional formations. When we do not have this ignorance, automatically not automatically, it happens. The volitional formations come to an end. When we do not have ignorance, which means when we are wise, when we have that wisdom about Four Noble Truths, volitional formations come to an end. When we do not have volitional formations, consciousness come to an end, cease. When we do not have this consciousness, like when we eradicated that by practicing the Dhamma, name and form come to an end. When we do not have the name and form again, six sense bases, eye, ear, you understand this? Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, the mind, they come to an end. They cease. That's an understanding. That's the wisdom. Wisdom shared by the Supreme Buddha. When we do not create again these six sense bases, how does contact happen? No contact there. Contact does not come. When we do not have that contact, we do not feel. There is nothing to feel. When we have nothing to feel, when we do not have feeling, no craving, when we do not have craving for anything else, there is nothing to cling, nothing to hold, nothing to attach here. There is nothing here. If we do not have any craving, any desire in this world, we have nothing, we have no any idea about that. When we have nothing about that, like when we do not have clinging again, we do not have existence. For what? Existence is because of the desire, because of the clinging. When we do not have that clinging, we have no existence, no journey. When we have no space to be born, we have no birth. Maybe the human world, maybe the animal world, maybe the heavenly world, maybe the hell world, maybe the non-human world, Brahma world. No space for us to be born. Why? The wisdom we have eradicated. We do not have that idea. We do not have that wanting. We are released. Because that we have eradicated the birth, we have eradicated this. What? We have no aging, we have no death, we have no sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair, nothing. This is called the end of suffering according to the dependent origination. Any question, everybody? Dimal, I know that it's a deep lesson. Senon, huh? Gauri, I know it's Senila, what do you think about this? It's a very deep lesson, right? Dinu, Isura, don't worry about it. Yanuki, I know it is deep. I want you to make your mind confident in the Supreme Buddha. See, the Supreme Buddha understood that. No one could understand that before. No one. And he completely understood the suffering of the world and the cessation of this suffering in the world. He tried to understand this for a long period of time. You remember, he strived being in the forest, suffering, giving lots of suffering into his body. He did not eat to understand this. He did not sleep. He slept on the throne. He slept in the very hot sun. He dived in the deep river, very freezing cold. That was not something easy. He was a prince before. You remember? He had everything in this palace. In his palace, his family was perfect. Parents and then wife, the lovely child, they were very helpful to him, but he let everything go and went to the forest to find out the truth about suffering, about the origin of suffering, about the cessation of suffering and the end of suffering. And he won. That was the wisdom we learned here. I want you to understand and I want you to make your minds faithful about that. Remember? Any questions again? Sandesh, Chanuki, Linda, Peter, and Mom, Aga. Good people. Have no questions.
No question, Bante. It was very beautifully explained, Bante. Anyway.
Thank you very much. See, the Supreme Buddha, when he understood this dependent origination, the origin of suffering and the cessation of suffering, he explained that in a beautiful sutta like this. And then I want someone else to read this. This is Nagara Sutta. Again, this is not Nagarupama Sutta, Linda. Remember we talked Nagarupama Sutta one day? It's not. Don't get confused about that. This is Nagara Sutta, the discourse on the city. And the understanding of the Supreme Buddha, the wisdom of the Supreme Buddha, he said that it's like an ancient city, okay? And who will get the first chance? Maybe Aga. The path traveled by
The path traveled by previous Buddhas. Suppose a man was walking through a forest. They see an ancient path, an ancient road traveled by humans in the past. Following it along, they see an ancient city, an ancient capital, inhabited by humans in the past. It was lovely, complete with parks, groves, lotus ponds, and a delightful place.
Sadhu Sadhu. Thank you for the beautiful reading. So see that it was like a path, ancient path, and then leads to a beautiful city. This is a simile, okay? This is a simile. Simile for the dependent origination. Again, simile for the wisdom of the Supreme Buddha. You understand that? We will go to the next part. Sandesh, would you like to read the next one? How your chances then? See, it's a beautiful picture.
Then that person would inform a king or their minister, "Please, sir, you should know this. While walking through a forest, I saw an ancient path, an ancient route traveled by humans in the past."
You understand, everyone. Thank you for the reading. So it was an ancient path traveled by the ancient people. He said, the minister said to the king. And then Senila, did you read that? Okay, you didn't. Okay, this is the next.
Following it along, I saw an ancient city, an ancient capital, inhabited by humans in the past. It was lovely.
Sorry.
It's okay. It was lovely, complete with parks, groves, lotus ponds, and a delightful place.
It's a delightful place. And then they traveled, right? They traveled on the path to the beautiful city. And then how about Zenon? That was a beautiful city. Have you seen this city before? Senon, the picture.
Sir, it's Jetavana. Bande, it's Jetavana Rami.
That's beautiful, yes. Yes, you're reading. Yes, Senon.
Sir, you should read that city. Then that king or their minister would have that city rebuilt. And after some time, that city was successful and prosperous and full of people, attained to growth and increase. In the same way, I saw an ancient path, an ancient route traveled by fully awakened Buddhas in the past.
Sadhu, thank you for the beautiful reading. I rejoice in the good merit you collected too. See, the Supreme Buddha said that there was an ancient path traveled by the ancient people leads to an ancient city. And then ponds, parks, and lovely things there were in the city. And then they were ruined now. No one is there now, no people. No one knows about this city. And one person finds this path, the ancient path. Maybe like this picture. He traveled. He goes on the way to the city, and eventually he found that an ancient city like this. The buildings, the parks, and then ponds, and then maybe lovely places, but they were ruined. And then later on, the king and the ministers, they collect huge crowd, and then they build up this city again. And that city becomes very prosperous, lovely, comfortable, developed, and civilized. In the same way, remember, in the same way, this Dharma, the Supreme Buddha understood, is like that. The understanding of the Supreme Buddha is the same understanding of the previous Supreme Buddha. That was like a city. This knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding, this realization is like a huge city ruled by a king, ruled by the introduced by a previous Buddha. And then that was ruined by the time. No one knew about that city. And then the Supreme Buddha was born, our Gautama Supreme Buddha was born. And he what is it called? He reconstructed that city. He reconstructed the Dharma, and he reintroduced that Dharma by his own wisdom. Did you understand that? The Dharma is from the Supreme Buddha. It's the same Dharma the previous Supreme Buddhas understood as well. Okay, we will move on. And then one more time, I said that this episode is a little deep, everyone. We have maybe we have no stories, we have no such a thing, but the Dharma is very deep. Again, we will go to a deep topic again. See? Okay, Simile, Cemile. You can read this.
Germany.
Tamil. Simile is from?
Cyprus.
Oh, Cyprus. Welcome to. Yeah, you can read this. Okay, we have Pali words. Try you read, and then we have the English meaning. This is Pancha Upadana Skanda. New word.
Rupa, form, Veda, feeling, Sana, perception,
Vinyan.
Volitional formations, consciousness.
Good try. Very good. I rejoice in the good merit. Okay. Puti, you read something very deep, very wise. Okay. And that's the understanding of the Supreme Buddha. The Supreme Buddha understood our life like this. Our life is like this. Pancha Upadana Skandha. 5 aggregates of clinging. Our life is this. What? The Rupa. You know the form. Form is this physical body. You want to understand like that, okay? Do we have this physical body? Yes, we do. And not only humans. You know, animals also have that. And then apparently the heavenly beings, and then the Brahma beings, and then Asura beings, and then hell beings, they do too. The Rupa, maybe subtle, maybe gross, maybe hard, soft, whatever. They have that Rupa. You have, I have, and everybody. And then the second one is Vedana. Again Vedana. Remember we made this word. We made this word before too. But this Vedana is in the same thing. Pancha Upadana Skandha, feeling. And then the third one is in our life is Sanya, which means perception. We perceive things. Okay, we become feeling and perception. And then the next one is Sankhara or Sankhara, volitional formations. And then Vijnana, the consciousness. Rupa, I want you to repeat after me, okay? Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. One more time. Again, everybody. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Again, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Our Supreme Buddha firstly he preached about these Pancha Upadana, the aggregates of clinging to the 5 ascetics. See the picture? It's a lovely picture. The Supreme Buddha is preaching. You have 5 monks in the picture. Do you know the names of these 5 monks? Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who is that? You can answer.
Kondanya, Wappa, Baddiya, Mahanaman, Assaji.
Sadhu sadhu. Kondanya, Vappa, Baddiya, Mahanam, Assaji. And out of these 5, Kondanya understood the first level of this realization when he preaches first Dhamma Desana. Remember Dhamma Chakkapavatana. This is the second sermon, included the 5 Panchupadanaskandhi, the second discourse. Do you remember the second discourse of the Supreme Buddha to the same group of monks? Anybody else? The name of the second discourse of the Supreme Buddha.
Oh, sorry, Bante. Is it Anatta Lakkana Sutta, Bante?
Sadhu. Anatta Lakkana Sutta, Anatma Lakkana Sutta, Panchavagya Sutta. The same names, huh? So Panchavagya is the 5 monks. Anatma Lakkana means non-self. Okay, that's a very beautiful, deep sutta. You will be able to understand that later. Okay, and in that sutta, Panchavagya Sutta or Anatma Lakkana Sutta, the Supreme Buddha clearly explained about these 5. When he preaches that sutta, everybody, these 5 months, remember the names? Kondanya, Vappa, this is Kondanya, I guess. Vappa, Badhiya, Mahanama, Asaji. These 5 monks became enlightened. They were able to understand the full Dhamma. They became arahants. They ended up their lives. They ended up the journey of the samsara. Remember? Okay, everybody, you know about the first discourse of the Supreme Buddha. That was Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Do you know everyone about that? Okay. The second discourse of the Supreme Buddha, you remember, Anatma Lakkhana Sutta. One more time. Anatma Lakkhana Sutta or Ananta Lakkhana Sutta. Anatma Lakkhana Sutta. Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. That's the second sutta preached in the same place, Isipatana Migadaya in India. Isipatana Migadaya. Nepal. Okay? Very informative. Very informative. We'll go to the next one. And then here also something a little deep you will understand. The same thing the Supreme Buddha explained this to the 5 monks. See that the picture? The Supreme Buddha is preaching his teachings, the deep teachings about Pancha Upadanaskandha, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. The Supreme Buddha is explaining to the 5 monks. Remember? How does he explain? How? Rupa, form, Vedana, feeling, Sanya, perception, Sankhara, volitional formations, Vijnana, consciousness. How does he explain? I want you, this Senon from Toronto.
Okay, my song answer. Bhikkhus, form is impermanent, feeling is impermanent, perception is impermanent, volitional formations are impermanent, consciousness is impermanent.
Sadhu, sadhu. How did he explain about this Pancha Upadanaskandha? Everything is impermanent, he said. Why? That's the wisdom of our Supreme Buddha. Form is impermanent. Maybe the human body, maybe the animals, maybe the heavenly beings, Brahma beings, hell beings, Asura beings. Everybody. The form is impermanent. Actually, the body is impermanent form. And anything in the world is impermanent, you understand? And then the feeling is also impermanent. Did you understand that? Feeling is permanent or impermanent? Feeling, for example, you can answer me, okay? Anybody else? For example, again, you eat chocolate. You have a piece of chocolate on your tongue. You're eating. You enjoying the piece of chocolate. How long you can enjoy that? Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, not more than that, I guess. When you have finished that eating the chocolate, in a while, the feeling goes away. You do not feel that again. That's gone. If you want to feel the same chocolate, you should have the same piece of chocolate, like the same piece of chocolate you want to eat. What is that? That feeling is not permanent. It goes away. Another example. Maybe your teacher punish you. You have that punishment, okay? For example, and then you cry. You feel sorry about that, and then you cry. But next day, when you go to school, the teacher is very nice. He talks to you in a nice way. He says that you should work hard. You do not want to do anything bad. He or she says again. And then you have a different feeling. You think that, teacher is very nice. Out of his compassion, he punished me. What happened to that sad feeling? It goes away, and then you have a pleasant, happy feeling. Oh, teacher loves me. He's very nice to me. He's not that way. He's not a bad teacher. He's a very good teacher. You have a different feeling, right? Why? The feeling is impermanent. Also the pleasant feeling, also the unpleasant feeling, also the neutral feeling. Everything is for a limited period of time. That's why the Buddha explained that feeling is impermanent. Form is impermanent. Again, everybody, this is all about our life. Form is not permanent. It's not a negative thing again, okay? It is a very wise, a deep understanding. When someone understands this, they become very nice people. Feeling is not permanent, and the perception that you perceive things is not permanent. Volitional formations. In a simple way, the karma, good or bad, impermanent. And the consciousness, the recognition or the consciousness we have, that is also not permanent. I think that you have full of questions. Okay, we know that. Is sansara and nibbana permanent? Sansara is not permanent. Sansara is, in a way we can say, sansara is the journey we travel. It's not permanent. When we reach nibbana, sansara becomes impermanent. It's not permanent. You can. But the nirvana is a permanent thing. In the entire universe, there is only one thing which is permanent. That is nibbana. It's not changeable. It never changes. How do you say that, Linda? You have something to talk about that?
Sorry, Bante. Is it about Nibbana, Bante?
Yes.
Yes, so Nibbana,
The death.
in Supreme Buddha says, the Nibbana is like a lamp that's extinguished. So if we think of fire, an oil lamp, let's say, the oil lamp is there as long as there's oil and the wick. But when the oil is done, the lamp or the fire of the lamp will extinguish. Now, Bante, please help.
Yes.
How do you explain that for the children?
The lamp, you were right. So the nibbana is not a place. It's a place actually. It's not a physical place. It's not
it's a state, you mean, Bante? It's a state of mind?
Yeah.
That's when, there's no
understanding.
Yes.
Liberation. And then understanding your wisdom and the liberation and the permanent cessation of suffering. And it never changes again. When someone achieves that wisdom never changes. For example, Venerable Arahant Sariputta Bhante, he was freed from this samsara and he never comes back. Right? It's permanent. In a way you understand that. The other things are everything is impermanent. When you grow up, when you read about Dhamma, you will get more information about this, okay? Don't worry.
Bhante,
yes.
Maybe we can explain to the children that Nibbana in a state is a state where when we don't have craving anymore, then we don't, because we don't have craving, then we are not going to reborn anywhere else anymore.
You're free.
And then you're free from this round journey of samsara because you don't crave for that anymore. So this is when this is finished, the craving is finished, then the samsara is finished.
Yes.
Is that right, Bhante?
Perfect.
Okay, so.
Thank you for the explanation. Okay, Peter, I think your chance is next to read the next part. It's also about the Pancha Upadanaskanda the Buddha explained to 5 monks.
Seeing thus, the instructed noble disciple experiences revulsion towards form, revulsion towards feeling, revulsion towards perception, revulsion towards volitional formations, revulsion towards consciousness.
Good, thank you very much. So when they understand that everything is impermanent, they have no desire, they have no craving for anything else. That's what that explained to the 5 monks, the Supreme Buddha. And then, okay, Januki, your chance. Try this. Maybe you will have some unknown words too. This is Venerable Sariputta Bhante.
Experiencing revulsion, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge. It's liberated.
Sadhu, sadhu. So it's really clear. I will explain it again. The Buddha explained that everything is impermanent. Okay? And then the noble disciple understands that everything is impermanent. And he do not have any attachment to that. When they do not have any attachment to that, which is called the dispassion, they have no any passion about that. And then he is freed, which is called he is liberated. When he is liberated, he understands it's liberated. I am liberated. You understand that? Okay. Next one. This is the next one is for Dinodaham.
He understands. Destroyed is birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Anybody who knows about this Venerable Bhante, Arahant Bhante? Who could? Sadhu, sadhu. This is Arahant Mahamoggallana Bhante's statue. So they are liberated, right? And when they understood this Dhamma, when you understand this Dhamma, when you reach Nibbana, when you get liberated, you understand destroyed is birth, which is when they understand the full understanding of Nibbana, they know about that they have no rebirth again. The holy life has been lived, which is they have nothing to complete again. They have completed the path. They have completed the instruction of the Supreme Buddha. Which had to be done has been done. They have nothing to do more for the liberation. There is no more for this state of being. They have no any existence hereafter. They understand. That's their wisdom. Okay. I think here we have lots of information about the Supreme Buddha. Remember, we talked about the dependent origination, the origination of suffering and the cessation of suffering. And then we talked about this life, Pancha Upadanaskanda, Rupa, the form, feeling, the Vedana, the feeling, Sanya, the perception, Sankara, the volitional formations, and Vijnana is the consciousness, you remember? And then this is the life. When you understand about the nature of this life, which is impermanent, you get liberated. That's the wisdom of the Buddha. And then if I add something for this from the teachings of the Buddha again, how do you achieve this state of Nibbana? You learn that this Pancha Upadanaskanda is deep, and the Buddha wanted you to understand this is impermanent. But we do not feel that normally. When you eat food, when you go on a trip, you never think that this waterfall is impermanent. For example, this food is so tasty, I should enjoy that. It's a nice song. You think like that, right? You never think that this song is impermanent. It's very opposite. But don't worry about that. The Supreme Buddha wanted you to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. When you practice the Noble Eightfold Path, you will reach this state. Your wisdom will grow. You will have a very developed understanding about the Dhamma, and then you will reach that state. How? For example, the Noble Eightfold Path is the Samadhi. You want to believe in the understanding of the Supreme Buddha about noble truths. Samma Sankappa, we talk this stuff too. Samma Sankappa, which is like you have the idea of renunciation, idea of non-violence, and something like that. And Samma Vacha, you have the good speaking. Samma Kammanta, you have the precepts, abstention from killing, abstention from stealing, abstention from sexual misconduct. Those are the precepts you practice gradually. Samma Ajiva, you can earn your money, you can make your money in a righteous way, which is that you practice the Noble Eightfold Path. Samma Vayama, which is the right effort. You have that right effort to abandon your negative feelings and to develop the wholesome feelings, wholesome qualities in your life. The effort, the energy you arise. Samma Sati, the mindfulness, in 4 ways, he explained. And Samma Samadhi, the meditation and the achievements of the meditation. These are the steps in the Noble Eightfold Path. When you practice these steps, everybody, you will achieve the state the Buddha explained, the Nibbana. Okay? One more time. When you grow up, you will read this beautiful Dhamma of the Supreme, the very deep, very profound, very scientific. I don't know if this word is perfect or not, okay? Very down to earth. And then you will be amazed with the Dhamma. You will be very fortunate to practice that Dhamma little by little. And one day, in this longest samsara, you will get that day to achieve the level what the Buddha wanted you to do. Okay? So with that beautiful explanation about Pancha Upadanaskandha and dependent origination, we will have our program end.